All right. Hello. It is Wednesday. If you're on the West Coast, it is noon and it's time for another Courier Live. I'm Adrian, developer advocate at Courier, and I'm here today with Paul, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, Paul Chin Jr. here. I am from begin.com. I'm part of developer relations there, and I'm super excited to be on Courier Live today, this glorious Wednesday.
Great. Yeah, I've known Paul for a while, I think through Burrow.js, Brooklyn.js, Queens.js, all of that.
Yeah, we met for the first time at after a Node Interactive conference, or maybe no, it was after JS Conf, or one of these conferences.
One of them.
One of these conferences, and yeah, it was super cool. I got to know you a little bit, and gone through awesome JS stuff together.
Yeah, and are you still helping run? Is it Revolution JS? Was it
Revolution Conf? So RevConf has taken a break for the time being,
like most things,
for many reasons. Yeah, but yeah, definitely still really active in the local developer group that I have here in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, Virginia. So we are 757 Dev, and I always have to give a great big shout out to them. I learn so much from them every single day. It's a wonderful little community.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about Begin. As I keep telling people, begin.com, but I'm pretty sure the company is just Begin. Let me switch over so you can use your desktop.
Yeah, so this is begin.com. We are CI/CD for serverless applications. We are a way for people to be able to use the AWS platform without an AWS account. We can ship your app all the way from local development with our open source sandbox like emulator, all the way through to production. We can handle it from end to end.
Yeah, I know that I've been using it, trying to set up a little Slack bot that could be distributable. So one of the ways that we send messages here at Courier is through Slack. And we end up getting a lot of questions on like how to make a Slack bot that's distributable. So I thought, what better project to use with Begin than setting up a Slack bot that can also be set up to be distributed across multiple workspaces. So hopefully that will be coming in the future. But it's been really cool to be able to work on that locally, and I'm using the Begin data to handle the data, and then I can publish that to staging, and then one day I'll publish it to production and put it out there for people to see.
Yeah, what I love is with platforms like Begin, to be able to develop fully locally and have all of your cloud resources also checked into version control. Is something that's really powerful, because even as you progress up through production level, everything's still the same. You didn't have to adjust for different clusters of machines or remake all of your old Docker containers when you want to scale. So I'm looking forward to seeing what people can make with it whenever they need an endpoint for anything, we can do it on Begin.
Yeah, and it was very easy to sign up. I see you have to sign up with GitHub, and
yeah,
it being free, at least for now, was also really nice for me building some demo apps. So tell me, what is it that we're going to do today?
Yeah, so let's get into it. Because the best thing about Begin is just seeing it in action, and so that's why this live stream is going to be super fun.
Yeah.
After you log in, well, let me talk about what what we will be building. I had an old site that one of the first sites I ever made, just as I was getting into programming and developing websites. And it was for the Ghostbusters. I love the Ghostbusters so much that I had to make them a website. And so let me crack it open here and just click on the Ghostbusters app. And at the time I was learning, really cool things like jQuery and Bootstrap. Like it was super cool. It was 2015 and I said, let's go.
Did you use a little Backbone JS in that as well?
I didn't use Backbone here. This is just straight jQuery. And I had to learn how to set up a LAMP stack all on DigitalOcean to get this thing running, because at the very bottom here, you'll see a contact form. Yeah. And the template that this started out in life with was a PHP script on the back end.
Okay.
And so for years, since 2015, this thing has been sitting on like a DigitalOcean droplet with the LAMP stack. And I've just been paying, the $7-8 a month on it. And it's like, it's fine. It does what it does. But then, over the last couple of years, I learned a lot about this serverless technology and different platforms. Connect all these wonderful pieces on the internet.
Sure.
So I said, okay, what if I took my original site and I refactored it so that it can run in an S3 bucket.
Okay.
And then that way the hosting's taken care of. Mm-hmm. And then I also add an endpoint to be able to catch the form that some customer would want to send. That's like, great, I can build a new API right on Begin. And then I thought, well, why mess with email? It's 2020. Let's send a Slack notification. And I said, well, if the Ghostbusters were running in 2020, I'm sure they'd have a really hoppin' Slack forum or like a Slack chat. So
that Janine's just sitting on that Slack.
Yes, exactly.
Can't answer phones anymore.
No one's gonna answer the phone. You can barely get people to answer email. So Slack message is gonna be the way to go. If I'm gonna be pulling in a Slack message, oh man, the Slack API is not my favorite. I'm gonna come out on record as saying it's not my favorite, but it is super useful and it is super handy. But it's even better when I found out that Courier could just make it a REST call for me, and I can integrate it into my app, and it's just HTTP all the way through. And what's more jammy than that, right?
That's right.
So you've seen the site. When you fill out the form, it sends a Slack message, but let's go ahead and say that we are doing this from scratch.
Okay.
So pretty sure you can see my screen right now, and I'm logged into Begin.
Okay.
And as soon as you log in, this is what you see. And all you need to log in is a GitHub account.
So you're telling me that Begin is going to handle storing the application in an S3 bucket and providing that endpoint?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, just with a GitHub account.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is create a new app.
All right.
We're going to come down and click this minimal. And real quick, we have the capability of running Deno serverlessly right now. And if the viewers are super interested in trying the bleeding edge of internet web technology, y'all should run some Deno serverlessly in a Lambda. It's pretty fun.
I have not played with Deno at all. I'll have to come in here and try that out.
Yeah.
It looks like you have a number of starter apps for the different types of things that people will do, like Svelte. That's been on my list. Vue.js, people are crazy about that. Starting a React app. But you said we're just going to do a minimal.
We're going to grab a minimal app today just to make sure that the demo gods, praise cage, are on our side. So what happens when you create an app is that Begin will provision the cloud resources as well as a GitHub repo. So we're going to go ahead and give our GitHub repo a name. Let's call it Courier today, because that's where we are.
Sure.
So we'll hit create minimal app. And what this gives us, again, is the GitHub repo that's being set up right now.
Okay.
We can click on this link here and go to it. Let's see if we beat it there
for you.
Yeah. Okay. So it's bootstrapping the entire application along with the infrastructure.
Nice.
And the infrastructure is just straight AWS. So it's not like we're hiding any proprietary code from you or anything. Like it's just Lambda functions.
Okay.
So now that that's done, we can actually see a demo site, and this is exactly what you would get when you go to click on a new app. And what's really fun is we can come into GitHub, right?
Yeah.
And there's a public folder. The public folder itself is what's holding all the static assets.
Okay.
The static assets are then, we can edit them. And when we commit to our default branch, it will kick a new build and go live to staging.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is before we even touch the IDE, we're going to come in here into GitHub and edit this file directly. This is a super cool kid way of using the internet. So I have a form here that I am going to plop in right into here. Let's see if my copy paste skills are up to par today. That doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's ugly, but I think it will work, and we can give it a real commit message. This
We can
is
fix it in post.
how you code. Have you seen that meme going around today? Where it's like
is it
all the different.
What's stopping you from coding like this?
Yes. Yeah. That's was a thing. So I've made a commit. This is how you code. We go back to begin, and we can see that a build was kicked off, and it's already done and deployed.
That was quick.
So we click on staging, and now our site has a form. Like, isn't that just super pretty? It's not as intense as the Ghostbusters site, but I think for everyone watching at home, if you have questions about what's going on, please drop it in the chat log, and we'll try to get it answered.
Sure.
But basically, now from this form here, we've got a number of fields, and there's no JavaScript on the client side. We can just use HTML and posts, and it's going to be great.
So whenever we pasted that code in, did we already have like the action in there, or do we still got to set up like where it's going to post to?
The action's already in there, so it'll post to. We can take a look.
Yeah. I feel like
it will post
since I did this kind of form.
I know, isn't it great? We're gonna update 2015 code with code that's like evergreen. This is like evergreen code.
It still works.
So yes, there's an action here, contact form. So method post, contact form. We've got a name, an email, a subject, and an urgent checkbox for a future feature. The product owners were really, pushing for an urgent feature, and that's how all web apps get built.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so is this, because we didn't specify a URL, is this just going to post? This is going to just post back to the same URL, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So right now the form does nothing because we haven't built the endpoint for it.
Okay.
Traditionally, when the site needed an endpoint, I'd have to create, a full server stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what did I end up doing? It was a LAMP stack. I can't even remember anymore, but it was a lot more work than what we're about to do now.
Something in PHP, I'm sure.
Yes, and there was an email.php involved.
And I bet it was an email.php that has been copied and pasted by many people many times before.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. You know what? Also evergreen code. One day I'm gonna get to serverless PHP. You just wait.
Oh.
All right. So I'm gonna go back to my GitHub repo, and while we could keep coding inside of here, it's a little painful.
Okay.
So we're gonna clone the repository and then open it on up in Visual Studio Code. Oh, I didn't need to do
how
that.
I typically code.
That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. Okay, cool. So we've got Visual Studio Code up. We've got our folders. Let me go one step further and talk about app.arc, the .arc file.
Mm-hmm.
So are you familiar with infrastructure as code, Adrian?
I'm a little familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay. What would you say it is? Because like that's kind of important to how these apps work, is like understanding the infrastructure as code. So we're going to have a small education moment here.
So I know it has a lot of YAML. I think I'm familiar with like serverless. I believe that's something that we use here at Courier because we do use a serverless infrastructure to run our app. But it's kind of a way to build out like a set of instructions so it can go out and automatically build your infrastructure instead of having to go in and to like
that's right,
that AWS control panel and
manually
build all those IAM things and resources that I
that's right
understand how to do it all.
That's right. I don't know how to do many things. I figured out how to do like one thing and it took me 2 years. So what we're looking at here,
where you're like, I know enough to be dangerous, and you could actually be dangerous with it.
Just destroy whole racks of servers with the touch of a button,
or get $3,000. You know.
Yeah, either way. But here in Begin app, we use OpenJS Architect, which is an open source library, part of the OpenJS Foundation. That is a deployment framework for serverless apps. So people could not use Begin, use Architect, and deploy serverless applications all day long to AWS. So we're in the same sort of, this is the same kind of a library that like serverless framework would be, but we specialize in just web applications. So we're not gonna mess with like the container services or Kubernetes things. Like we're just focused on Lambda API Gateway and DynamoDB for folks that are in the AWS arena.
Okay.
So I say all that because to add a route to a Begin app, we're going to create an endpoint in this file, the app.arc file. This is our infrastructure as code manifest. So no YAML. We're just going to declare an HTTP endpoint.
Okay.
And we're going to say that it's post contact form. I think that's the name I gave it. Let me double. Oh, you know what? I didn't need to do all that. I can come up into here. All right. Contact dash form. Yep, that's it. So I'm going to create a new endpoint with arc in it. Okay, so locally what's happened is I now have this source folder.
Sure.
Before, I didn't have any kind of a backend to the site. It was just an index HTML page that was being served by S3. So now what we're going to do is add the logic for an actual contact form. And that sits under HTTP and source. So we're going to click on this, and I still have to run my npm install. So after you clone it down, you run npm install so that the Architect Sandbox can install. And Sandbox itself is our local development server that comes with OpenJS Architect and is part of every Begin app. So we can just run npm start as part of the start script for, and it's already running in another thing. Look at that, recovery. Okay, so now we have the exact same site live on begin.com, like that's been pushed. And now by running Sandbox locally, we have a similar development experience for the local. So what we're going to do now is this is now, see, localhost.
Sure.
And then we've had the deployed one on begin. So now we're going to start working on our contact form. Is everybody still with me so far? What do you think? Normally when I do these kinds of sessions, I have like a row of audience members.
You see people like nodding.
There's like questions. Yeah. When I do, I'm still trying to get used to this streaming and keep it interesting for folks.
And for any of you out there watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. We'll put Paul on the spot. I mean, this is a time to test his knowledge of
this is totally the time to be testing me.
Soon we'll be testing my knowledge of Courier. It's coming. Don't worry.
I gotta install a couple of dependencies first.
Okay.
So imagine HTTP is its own code. Like it's self-contained. It's a Lambda function. So instead of a giant Express app with multiple routes, you have just enough logic to capture an event or a request, and then send a response. So that's all we're really concerned about inside the Lambda.
Okay.
For what we're going to be doing, I'm going to bring in a couple of helper libraries to make it go a little easier.
Sure.
And these are part of Architect. Okay. That's for body parsing, and then I grab another one, just make a quick HTTP call. So right now, oh, whoops, I typed that wrong. I'm going to create just an empty package JSON in the folder where the function lives, and npm install architect functions and tiny JSON HTTP.
Yeah, because if you were building this Lambda function without begin or arc, and you were using an external package, you would have to go through this process of zipping up all of the code and uploading it to what is an S3 bucket, and then pointing inside the console to that. I know that it's a big pain, and so like any tool like this to help you bring in outside packages and package that up is great.
Yeah, there's definitely like a better way to work with serverless technologies that aren't the AWS console. The AWS console is like the place of last resort for me. It's just too confusing in there. It works very well, but there's like a difference between something working well and being able to be used. I hope that that's why companies like Begin exist, because we are really driven to remove all barriers to people who want to develop serverlessly. And there's so many benefits to creating code that is serverless. I don't know if this is the time or the place to get into it, but definitely if you have questions about serverless, give me a shout. Paul Chin Jr. on Twitter. I'd love to talk to you about it. All right, so where are we now? We are at the logic for our post endpoint. So this should work. And what we're going to try to do is capture that form data right here with this console.
Okay. No, doing a console table. So fancy.
Yeah. Oh, I know. For those who are new to development, hello, welcome. And console.log is amazing. It's one of the greatest things ever. And then you can do console.table. So the person named Table at table.com.
I'm surprised they got that domain. It's difficult.
You know, it is. So we're going to send this message, and we get our return praise cage data.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go to here, we see our table of data that came in.
Nice.
So it's a pretty straightforward example so far. We've got an index HTML making an HTML post straight to an endpoint. And so far, we haven't had to write any web server logic or application framework logic, right? It's just sort of working with the native parts of AWS. And so now let's go ahead and push these changes, right? We've made all these changes. We're happy with it locally. The form is, proof of concept done. We can capture some data.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good time to make a commit, right? Commitment is a thing. So we're going to push that. And now I believe if we go back to our begin console and we refresh the page here, it's building. It's going. All right. It's built. No errors now.
Live on staging.
And now it is live on staging. So we can go stage at stage.com. Station. Have you seen the hype for the brand new Bill and Ted?
I knew that it was coming. It's hard with with theaters not happening, but then I saw it on Apple TV or something, so I haven't watched it yet.
I have not yet. I need to. So what we've done, it looks not so great on here, but what we've done is made some changes locally, just made a push to GitHub, just like we normally would, and then Begin has a hook in there where it automatically sees the change, does your build, redeploys, and gives you your fresh app again.
Awesome.
And so we've done this now, even with chatting in between. It's been maybe 20 minutes. This is great. I get my praise cage body back. I get my console table with my form variables back. It's a good day.
It's a good day.
Now it's a good day. Now the next step is where it gets interesting, where the rubber meets the road, right? We're gonna try and put in. We're gonna update this logic now to include Courier and a little bit of Slack, but mostly Courier. Courier is really what you need.
That's right.
Okay.
We're gonna make one API call to Courier, and then Courier is gonna take care of the message routing.
Oh my gosh! It's it's so much easier. Okay, so what we're gonna do is go back to the code, and I'm gonna delete this, and we're going to add some new code.
Little copy pasta.
Little copy pasta. It's what keeps things going. And what we'll do is we'll go over this code a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me turn this down. All right. So what we have here is the function body of the Lambda.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with Lambda, you have to have a handler. And in our Arc framework, we have the ability to do async middleware, kind of like how Express does it, where you can call Arc HTTP async, and you can feed it any number of async functions, and then the Arc functions helpers will return the signatures that are compatible with Lambda.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. So we've got two functions that we want to run. First is send courier, and then we're going to just, return a route to go next after the form has been submitted. We're going to return this location of home. It's essentially going to just refresh the page. And here's the fun bit where we're going to make a small call to Courier and send the request body information over into Slack. And I don't have to deal with any of the Slack stuff here in my code. And I really didn't even need to do a whole lot of Courier stuff in my code.
Now, I do see that you're using this tiny JSON HTTP library, and you're building the RESTful, the REST route or REST request manually, which is great. We have a RESTful API, so any language that can support sending REST calls can use it. But one thing to mention is we do have a Courier SDK for Node.js. So you could npm install at try_courier/courier, and we have a client that you can pull in and take care of a lot of this stuff. But if you're comfortable creating the request yourself, like, go for it, right?
Yeah. I didn't end up using the full SDK because I guess I didn't need the extra steps for multiple operations. This was pretty straightforward enough. And so now what we're going to do is create a new app on the Slack side. So hopefully no code is worried about this. So we're going to do a praise cage contact. And we're going to add it to my One True God Slack channel. So for those who are new to a Paul Chin Jr. broadcast, I fancy myself a priest of the one true God of the internet, Nicolas Cage. I feel that his work and his presence on the internet really embodies what it means to be internety. So
we got Troy saying that Zool hard disagrees.
Zool, no. Where was I? Okay, so we're gonna need a couple of things from Slack, just a couple of things. Mostly, we're gonna need the env stuff. I know y'all can see this, but it's pretty sure I'm deleting it right away.
we never like to expose sensitive information like API keys, etc.
Yeah,
we're going to delete it right after. So
that's best practices for sure. I thought I had it off screen, but there we are. Everyone's gotta, we do what we can.
So basically, we're setting up some environment variables right now.
Yep. And what's happening on the begin side is that these environment variables have to get tied to your Lambda function, and it's not like we can treat them in quite the same way as an Express app with like a .env file. What we have is called a .arc-env file, and that copies that will copy the functionality of an env file for you when you're running Sandbox.
Oh, nice.
So what we're gonna, it gives you a place to associate your envs, a single place to associate your env while you're working in Sandbox. So I know you can see this, but there's no way to get around it. All right.
I could have taken the screen off.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fine. We'll remember.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just memorize it real quick. Pause the screen, and then you
super
can
easy to memorize.
This is probably the most boring part. So I don't know, Adrian, if you want to fill air while I copy things, copy and paste things.
Yeah. So
I don't know. This is the most awkward part.
So
I just realized.
Yeah, so we're going to be using these environment variables as part of making this REST call. We need of course, our Courier auth token to be able to make the send call to Courier. But as part of sending a message to Slack, we need something called the Slack bot user access token. All of those words somewhere in there. But what we're doing right now is setting up a Slack application. So to send a message to a Slack workspace, you have to have a Slack application set up.
That is correct. Yes. All right.
And as part of that setup, for sending messages, we require a certain number of scopes. So if you want to send a message anywhere, you need to have chat right. And then if you want to send a message as a direct message, you need to have at least IM right.
That's right.
Yeah. And then depending on how you send that message, we have a couple different options. If you want to use the email associated with the Slack workspace, you would need user read and user read.email.
There we go.
And so that's all the scopes that you need set up. There's a lot of other customization that you can do with this Slack app. But that's all we need to start sending messages. And so you can go ahead and Yusalki installed it into his test workspace. So whenever you're developing a Slack app, you can install it directly into a workspace that you can use to start testing it. And then once you get it to the place where you want, there's more things that you can do to get it to where it can be a distributable Slack app. So you can put a add to Slack button out there somewhere, and someone can go and click on it and add it to their Slack workspace. But we're just sticking with simple working in our test workspace. So there's that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian. That was wonderful.
It's like I create Slack apps all the time.
All right, so we're going to kick off Sandbox and see how well or bad we did. So I have our test Slack here, the one true God, with our praise contact. I think I need to add it in here. Praise cage contact, this one. Okay, so let's try it out and see where we're at, because I've copied and pasted a bunch of stuff, mostly environment variables, to see if this is all plumbed up right. In theory, like none of the code really has to get changed anymore.
Well, let's take a look at the code, because we still need to create a notification for Courier to use, right?
Ah, that's right. It's Courier time.
Yeah, but so did you end up using an event name, or did you put in?
It's still the okay. It is a notification ID.
So one thing that I like to do is just set the event to a string, and then I can map it to a notification inside Courier. So this cuts out the need for an extra environment variable. And then if you have someone who's not a developer, but who's working in Courier, and they want to create a new notification and then switch it over to it later, they can just go into the event mapping configuration and say, now it goes to this route, or now it goes to this notification. So I like to put as little code as I can, like in the code side for Courier, and allow people to manage things inside the Courier URI. URI? No. UI. That's it.
Courier UI. All right. Good tip. Yeah. Learned something
So
today.
just quickly to talk about the profile. So the profile is how Courier knows how to send the message. So we're sending over the access token that we are keeping secure inside the process.m.slack token. And then the email. So this is the email of the Slack user it's going to send a direct message to. And now actually go ahead and run this, or go and submit. Even though we don't have anything set up, we can see this come into the logs. This is how I like to start all of my projects. Is it coming into Courier? Like, did we get the call setup right? Are we using the right access token? And it's just a really quick way to see that things are working.
Okay, so we've sent something. We got a response.
Oh, okay. So in the back end, we got a message ID. Message IDs are good. That means that Courier accepted it and is processing it. So if you want to switch over to your Courier account, and then hit the one down or two down, the data. And so as that loads, you can see that a notification came in for praise cage contact. So that's the one that we just sent. It was not delivered. And if you click on not delivered, you'll see that there's no notification mapped to the event. So that's the first thing we need to do is we'll need to create a notification so we can map it to it. So let's go ahead and X out of that, and we'll start creating the notification.
All right.
Yeah, so into the designer.
Create notification. Okay. Right. So now what we're going to do is I've already configured.
It's already configured
to Courier, which didn't take much time at all. So, all right. And then I'm going to, this is, where should I go next?
So go to design. I can't preview something that doesn't exist. So if you click on Slack over under channels, so that's going to pull up the Slack designer. And now we can start creating the notification. So if you want to just put a text box in there.
Text box. I had this that I could copy paste somewhere.
Yeah, so this is where we'll be able to put the message that was submitted in the form into a Slack message, and all of the information from the form we put into the data object, and so we can grab that out and use those as variables inside the message. So I think that's what is. Yeah, so we're currently using the untitled one.
Oh my God, I'm all over the place. That's right, because I can change this.
Yeah.
All right, so now I can drop in this. And what's fun is like you can just
bottom one.
Which one?
So you so click there, down below. No, up. There's that empty space.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Well, yeah, you deleted because you have 2 blocks in there. So.
Oh, here's a block.
And then
okay.
And so that's going to throw that over to your shared library. It's unused, so you could actually hover over that over there and click the little trash can to get rid of it. So if you accidentally put more stuff on there.
Oh, okay. And so what's nice here is that I can include these variable names that are from my HTML form.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like that's all I had to do.
But let's make sure we hit that publish changes button.
Ah, right.
It's not going to work. So we allow you to do a draft version and a publish version. So if you wanted to work on this, like anything you do now will be sitting in draft until you hit published. But because we just created it, we needed something published, or else we get an error alerting to us to such if you sent it. Let's go back to the logs and actually map this notification now.
Okay.
So if we go back to the log, back to that notification that's undelivered, this is just a quick way to get to the mapping of it. And you can say map to notification. So it will automatically put the event ID in there for you, and you'll just, from that drop down, select the.
That's the one we want, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
that's the new one. Cool.
All right.
So now, I think if you send it again, send the
yes,
it should show up in your Slack.
Okay. So now Slack. Oh, it requires an @slack.com.
Because it's an email field, right?
Yes, that's form validation all day long built into the web, man. Like it's super cool. Watch, like
We didn't have that back in the days of the Lamp stack, right? That's
it
H.
yells at you. Yeah, yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
Ooh, yeah, good stuff.
AOL Slack at AOL.com. That's exactly.
There's the throwback.
I wish I had that.
Was it on the last
Okay.
thing that we did? I used
Oh,
that mail sign.
there it is.
Oh,
It worked.
it popped up.
Yeah, it worked. So because we set the environment variables for testing um, on Sandbox, all of this is still running locally.
Okay.
So now that we know that it works locally, let's go back and push our changes.
Good time for a commit.
Good time for a commit. Time to crack. Time for a commit. Commit to master. I don't even know what we did. Okay. So now that it's pushed, we can go back to our begin console, look at our activity, and it's building. Time for a commit. Look at that.
Build time.
I love how colorful our page is. Like
it's very colorful.
Oh yeah, look at built everything. Yeah, everything deployed in 10 seconds. That's not too bad. And so now we can go to staging. And now I don't know if I can I send this to you and then you can do.
We have the little private chat in.
Yeah. Paste there. Look, everyone. Let's see. How do I?
Actually,
yeah.
Let's send
we can.
Let's send this out to everybody who's.
Yeah. Just send it out.
This is the fun part of doing it live. So if you're out there and you would like, go and send us a message.
Just let us know how much you enjoyed this. If you didn't like it, you don't have to say anything. But yeah, so the cool thing is, this is it. Like we've done it. And there's one more step. There's one more step.
Oh yeah, because we've got that urgent button that we have not done. Oh, I got an internal server error. What did I do? How did I break it?
Uh-oh. Did I break it? Did it break?
Well, I think this is a good time to look at the logs, right?
Okay. Let's see. Let's try it here. Uh-oh, internal server error. We have
tempted fate.
We did. I got humbled.
Yeah, shoot.
I got humbled. All right, let's look at our logs now. Error, post failed with a 401.
Oh, does staging know about your environment variables?
It does not, because I have to put them in.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at that. Okay, I'm going to do this off screen for sure, because I know I can do this off screen. Okay. Where is it? Here it is. In the meantime, let's look at this or something. Here.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Here, just reflect on this while I copy and paste environment variables. Tools like Courier and Begin make development so much easier than it was a few years ago. But there's still going to be a couple of things that are just like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to copy and paste stuff. Like, But I'm glad that you were here with me to catch that almost instantaneously.
Well, I remember setting up my Begin project and having to make sure that I had my environment variables set in the different places. And actually, I had to use different environment variables for certain things based on the environment that I was using. So it was really nice to be able to set something that only worked when I was running locally, but whenever I deployed it, it went somewhere else. You can also set environment variables for production, so it's different than staging and different than local development. So it made it really nice.
That is good to hear.
Yeah, because if you think about, like, if you're using a DynamoDB, like your production version is going to be different than your staging version, et cetera, and it's probably going to have different usernames and passwords.
That's right. Let's see.
My eyes.
Okay. For whatever reason, it's returning the JSON location instead of the actual page again, but it does work.
Okay.
So people can go.
All right. So I'm
try that URL.
I'm gonna send.
Yeah, try it again. Oh, I got a message.
Oh, but you covered it up. There we go.
There is no. Only Zoom.
we gotta pull it back. We gotta pull it back around to the Ghostbusters theme. All right. I think we're ready. Let's make that urgent button work. And if I remember right, we're already sending it over in data. Are we sending it over in data? Because
we are not.
Oh, I was like, we don't have to make any more code changes, but
I think we. Let me think. Let me look rather.
Yeah.
Let me look rather. Urgent. Okay. Yes, we are sending it.
We are sending it, so we don't need to make code changes to make this work.
I don't think so.
So, what you said project management or product management said that we need to have this urgent button.
Yes.
So what is the issue? What are we going to do with this urgent button?
So let's try it. Where do we go? First we're here. Okay, I'm gonna close Nicolas Cage gifs up. So this urgent button, when we check it, we get a true. We get a value of whatever we put in here, and I set it to true.
Okay.
So that means if it's super urgent, like Slack is just not going to cut it anymore. We got to get on the telephone, like the Ghostbusters.
On the telephone.
Need to get
texts.
Yeah, Janine needs to get on the horn directly. And so it's going to send an SMS through Twilio. And what we're going to do is try to set that up now.
So we're going to add another channel to this notification.
Mm-hmm. Without changing the code.
No code changes needed.
We're going to go back to our...
Oh, just close that. I think.
Okay, we're going to...
It's the artist palette. The artist palette. That's our designer.
Artist palette. Designer.
And then click on that one. We'll go back.
So there. Now we're gonna add channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you could click Twilio right there. I would suggest. Oh no, just click on it again. No. Oh. Okay, it's fine. Normally, what I would suggest when you add the channel, you would add it as an SMS channel, and then you could add Twilio inside of there. Because let's say that Ghostbusters goes international, because ghosts aren't just in the U.S., right? Ghosts are everywhere. Some of the best ghosts, I think, are in Europe.
Right.
So aren't they? I mean,
yeah, I would think that they would have more ghosts and like older ghosts, like much older ghosts.
But that would allow you to put in other services. So like MessageBird in Europe, we have Africa's Talking for Africa. And then you can do cool things like checking the location of the recipient. And if they're in Africa, use Africa's Talking instead of Twilio. So save you a little bit money on the text. While Twilio can send to numbers like all over the globe, sometimes it's cheaper to use a different provider. Oh, and you did it. Hooray.
All right, so I figured out how to remove a channel, and so now we've got this.
All right,
is this where I'm supposed to be now?
That's it, and we don't even have to we don't even have to add a new block. We can use this shared block. So this is the block sitting in your library is the one that you created for Slack, and we can just drag that over, and we have an SMS message.
Nice.
Okay. And so now let's set this up to use the urgent data. So what I suggest is dragging that SMS above Slack. So what we have is we're currently saying send channels to the best of. And what you're seeing here is a priority queue by default. So it's going to try to send via SMS. If you have a phone number, it will send it. If not, it's going to try to send it for Slack. If you have the Slack information in your profile, it's going to send it that way. But what we're going to do is we're going to put in an extra conditional. So if you hover over that and hit the channel settings, we have conditions under channel settings, and we're going to add one. And so disable this channel if these conditions are not met. And I have to think really hard about this, but the property name is urgent. And if it we're going to disable it if the operator is not equal to true. Is that right? I have Boolean problems.
Not equal to true. So if disable, so don't send me a text if it's not urgent.
Right.
And if it's urgent, it's true. So if it's not true, it's not urgent.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. This is for when it should be disabled. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we can close that. And so now
auto saves
is it's going to come down. It's like SMS. Do they have a phone number? I'm not sure what the order of operations are, but if they don't have a phone number, it will have to skip it. If it's urgent, or if it's not urgent and there is a phone number, then it will skip it.
Okay.
Go to the Slack. And so now I think all we have to do is hit publish changes. So this should only send a text to Paul if it's marked as urgent. And notice that in the code that we had when we set up the profile, we did not put his phone number in there. We did that mostly so we wouldn't have to publish his phone number on the stream. And in the background, what we did is we used the profiles API that Courier provides to set his phone number on the Courier side. So whenever we do a send to this profile and it pulls up, it will actually do a merge of the profile that we have stored in Courier with the profile that's being sent over. And so that way, whenever Courier processes this notification, it has both pieces of information.
Okay, I think we're going to go back to staging. So we haven't done any code changes. Well, all we've done is add the new. Is it a channel? Is that what it's called a new channel?
We added an SMS channel.
And so we're going to try SMS. AOL.com.
Oh, this page doesn't have the urgent button.
Oh.
Too many tabs. Oh yeah, that wasn't doing it correct.
All right, this has the urgent button.
Yeah.
All right, it's super urgent. We couldn't even type a message. Here we go.
And then of course it didn't.
Okay.
That should not be in Slack. I think that was from whenever you hit refresh.
Yeah, so that's from the Slack one, and I'm waiting for
So if you go into
My
Courier,
text.
yeah, if you go into
Let's go to Courier and see what happens.
all the way to the right, there you go.
Let's go to the logs and see what happened.
I'll close that one. It just we got. So we do have an issue that popped up.
It went to Twilio.
The provider that was selected was Twilio. It's undeliverable. What do we got? The messaging service SID is invalid.
Oh.
So there's something wrong with the way that your integration is set up.
Yeah. So, probably copy pasted the wrong thing.
Probably. Go ahead and click on the icon underneath the like the database looking symbol, the one below, that's the integrations tab. And so let's take a look at your Twilio integration.
Okay. I'm going to pull this off camera because I think it's secrets time.
I don't know if it's going to reveal your secrets. I think we pass those up. But whenever you're setting up Twilio, and we do have a getting started guide for setting that up that kind of helps walk you through the process of setting up your Twilio account and grabbing I believe it's the account SID and the messaging service ID is what we need.
Yep. All right. So I've got all these things in here, and then it said that the messaging service ID is not good. So then I have to go to the Twilio page.
Yeah, the Twilio console, and pull that out.
I've got to log into it.
Yeah. Have you used this Twilio account before, or is this a new one?
I have. Okay. I have. Yeah.
So you should already have a messaging service set up. You have your phone number, your Twilio phone number.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I wanted to do all that ahead of time instead of doing it on the live stream.
That's okay.
So there's the messaging service, and let me bring it back down. I think I can do this. Yeah, so there's the SID.
Okay.
You know what? Maybe did it grab an extra space or something?
I don't know. We can try.
Copy. All right, where do I need to send it to? Oh, inside of Courier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then. Yeah.
I bet you it was an extra space.
Weird. Normally we trim those off, but we'll see. That anything changed?
All right. So now that we've
let's go back to the Courier logs, because what we can do is we can say send again.
Oh, okay.
So we don't have to like make that call again. So if you click on it, we can say send again over there in the corner. And then you can close this, and it should pop up as a new. So if you hit refresh or load more results. Okay, so scroll up to the top. There it is. Oh, so this one looks like it's sent.
Oh, there we go.
Reconfirmed. So
got it.
Pick your phone.
Well, I'm using my phone as the camera, so it vibrated.
Okay, so it came in. Awesome.
We're good.
So that worked, and we were able to make that urgent button work without changing any of the code in the begin side. It's cool.
Yeah, that's a nice super stack of serverless technologies, because let's see what we got. Twilio, I don't have to do anything with besides working with an API, and I didn't even have to work with the Twilio API. I guess I also didn't have to work with the Slack API, because I really didn't even have to work.
One API to send to all of these different channels.
Yeah, that is some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And then I feel like combining it with just-in-time endpoints is going to make for some really cool projects in the future.
Well, and this is really good because occasionally we'll have customers ask why we don't support cores in our REST routes. So with most messaging companies, we don't support cores because it would cause you to expose your auth token, right? And if somebody gets a hold of your auth token, they can start sending on your behalf, and then that's no good. And so a lot of times we're like, oh, well, you could spin up a serverless route to point it to, and this is an easy way to do that.
Yeah, I feel like it's the easiest way to create a serverless route, but I encourage everyone to try it out. try out Begin. Go to begin.com.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need, all you need is a GitHub account. No AWS credentials necessary.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, always hit me up at Twitter, Paul Chin Jr., paul@begin.com.
Yeah. And you can sign up for a free account on Courier and a free account on Begin and start building serverless web applications. Well, thank you for coming by, Paul, and walking us through all of that. It's been a lot of fun talking about Ghostbusters and getting this up and running. And yeah, we'll be back next week with a different one and a different person. And until then, we'll see y'all later. So, bye.
Thanks.